good evening, West Texas. Welcome to the Texas Town Square Media Network. All of you folks from Amarillo, we'll go diagonal today. From Amarillo to Abilene, Wichita Falls to Lubbock, down to San Angelo, Midland, Odessa, picking up the signal out there, and everyone in between. Good evening. Steve Evans hanging out with you this evening. Nick flying the ship and doing a mighty fine job of it, for sure. 806-680-2790, the number to text the show. Love to hear from you. Anything you'd like to weigh in on this evening. Now, the big news, I'm sure I'm going to get some texts. It's going to be, did you see? Oh, yes, I saw, for sure, the president endorsing Ken Paxton. Now, I've got a story. I'm going to read the story. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm going to tell you here, but there are some statements that have been included in this. A reason that I picked this story out is out of the Texan News, as President Trump endorsed Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton over the incumbent Senator Cornyn on the second day of early voting for the U.S. Senate Republican primary runoff. Robert weighing in. You get the big prize today, Robert. First one to weigh in on the text line. The prize is, there is no prize. The president says Ken is a true MAGA warrior who has always delivered for Texas and will continue to do so in the United States Senate. In a Truth Social post, John Cornyn is a good man and I worked well with him, but he was not supportive of me when times were tough, Trump says. Paxton responded shortly after Trump's announcement, stating via an X post, I am incredibly honored to have President Trump's complete and total endorsement. I bet you are. No one has ever fought harder for American people than President Trump, and I look forward to championing his American First agenda in the Senate. American First agenda. Everybody wants to champion the American First agenda. Cornyn wrote in a response on social media, I've worked closely with President Trump through both of his presidential terms and voted with him more than 99% of the time. He has consistently called me a friend in this race. It is now time for Texas Republican voters to decide if they want a strong nominee to help our GOP candidate down ballot and defeat Tallarico in November, or a weak nominee who jeopardizes everything we care about. I trust the voters of Texas. Cornyn and Paxton head into the runoff after the March 3rd primary election resulted in them being the top two candidates, although neither one collected a majority, with Congressman Wesley Hunt knocked out of the contest. Early voting for the primary runoff began yesterday. Will conclude on Friday with Election Day on May 26th. Another good time to give you a reminder. We will run the show till 8 o'clock on election night. I think we're everywhere except you might have a ball game going on, Amarillo. You may not get to hear us, but if you do want to hear the show, you can jump on to for sure, you can jump on to KFYO.com. That stream will be active if you want to listen to that coverage, and we'll do our best to pull any runoff numbers from across the listening area. We'll be taking a look at it. It's going to be a fast and furious 3 hours. We won't have numbers until after 7, so Ken and I will do our best to get those early voting numbers to you, and then the rest of it's just going to have to watch TV because we just can't stay on all night. But we're going to do our best. Let's see. Trump's endorsement in the race was long awaited. He's repeatedly teased the possibility of one and suggested both candidates are strong supporters of his, a claim the two have intentionally aimed to prove in their campaigning. Immediately after the final primary results for various races across Texas had rolled in, Trump announced on March 4th he'd be endorsing in the U.S. Senate race shortly and would be requesting the odd man out to drop out of the race entirely to save money and focus for the campaign against the Democrat nominee, which is we now know is Tallarico. While the announcement resulted in significant jockeying between Paxton and Cornyn, specifically over the passage of the election integrity-focused Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or SAVE Act, which was stalled in the Senate, Trump did not issue an endorsement for about 2.5 months. If you remember, Paxton said if we'll get the SAVE Act across the line, he would step out. It was important to him. News broke Tuesday morning. Reporters that Trump would be making an endorsement between 12:30 and 1 today, with him stating, "I've had my mind made up for a long time," and he thinks it's appropriate. He noted, "There are those that say whoever I endorse is going to win. I don't know if that's true. Historically, that's absolutely true." Sometimes he's got such a big ego. Tallarico responded to Paxton's endorsement. "As I said on primary night, it doesn't matter who wins this runoff. We already know who we're running against, the billionaire mega donors and their corrupt political system." Tallarico says, "Our movement to take back Texas for working people rises above party politics because the biggest fight in this country is not..." I don't even know what Tallarico sounds like. Does he sound like a little crybaby when he talks? I don't know. I want to listen to a little more. I tune him out. I see him come on. I don't even listen. Anyway, we'll just do this kind of growly voice. "Our movement to take back Texas for working people rises above party politics because the biggest fight in this country is not left versus right. It's top versus bottom." Okay. Senate Majority Leader John Thune had stated the week prior that even an endorsement from Trump this late in the game could greatly affect the results. He added that a runoff electorate is a decidedly more MAGA-oriented probably than a traditional Republican primary electorate. To make that in simple terms, that primary voters are probably more MAGA-oriented than primary runoff voters are probably more MAGA-oriented. Maybe. I don't know if that's true. Cornyn has been the favorite candidate in the eyes of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, the NRSC, in terms of exposure to outcome ratio. They made it clear from the get-go they would aim to invest more in Cornyn from the start, hence his hefty fundraising, instead of spending on what they believe would be a larger haul, helping Paxton beat Tallarico in the general election. Cornyn himself stated while on the campaign trail on Monday that in terms of Trump endorsements, he believed the ship has finally sailed. Both Paxton and Cornyn confirmed previously they would support the Republican ticket come the general election for the seat. They better. Although only Paxton explicitly said that he would support Cornyn by name if he should win the runoff. Trump said in his endorsement, "Ken Paxton has gone through a lot, in many cases very unfairly, but he is a fighter and he knows how to win." Your reaction, 806-680-2790. I have mixed emotions about this. My knee-jerk is, and I've always believed, the president needs to stay out of it. He really does. I'm not sure. Let's see, 778 says, "Well, I'm supporting Paxton. I would prefer Trump stay out of the race," right? I'm not sure how much, I know Thune says, "Oh, this is going to have a great impact." I'm not sure how much. How many people, how many Republican primary runoff voters out there were undecided and think, "Man, if the president would just endorse in this, I would make up my mind"? I mean, how many? Did John Cornyn vote to impeach Trump, or did I dream that, Kendra? I think he voted to impeach Trump. Well, no, he because he's in the Senate. He wouldn't have. I don't think anything actually came to light in the Senate. I don't know. Was there a Senate vote for Cornyn they don't impeach in the Senate, they convict. They impeach in the House, and then they have a trial in the Senate and convict. And I don't know that we ever got to a formal vote on that. I'll have to take a look. I don't think so. If he did, you would hear about it. I mean, you would know. 445 says, "I'm actually absolutely excited that he endorsed Paxton. Cornyn is a rhino." And I get it. Paxton is a more conservative most of the time than Cornyn. I'm looking at the big picture. Can Paxton beat Tallarico? And you have to look at that, and you have to answer that question and get away from the, oh my gosh, champion fanboy type look at Paxton. Oh my goodness. You have to get away from that for just a second and look at statistics and look at numbers. This is going to be a bloody battle. So all of you folks out there that are 100% Paxton is pro Paxton, so glad Cornyn's a rhino. You all better do your part come November to get the vote out. You better drag your neighbors. You better go to work, because just being MAGA ain't going to make it happen. Just being MAGA is not going to carry us over the finish line. There is a real threat, and money that we have never seen, the likes we have never seen, was going to pour into this state. Now we'll see what happens. We have fairly decent turnout in so far in the runoff. I've got Lubbock's numbers. We'll take a look at those and more. Right now, we're going to take the break. 806-680-2790. First break of the hour here. Send me a message. Love to hear from you. Stick around.
When you see a car that's been in a bad crash, it's no accident. When it backs traffic up for miles, no accident. And if there's a fatality involved, somebody died. That's no accident either. A lot of the time, it was speeding. And it's no accident that speeding is a factor in more than 150,000 crashes every year in Texas, many of them fatal. So slow down, be safe, drive smart. A message from TxDOT.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
News Talk KFYO.
Hey, welcome back. 806-680-2790. Like to send me a message. Love to hear from you. Not any severe weather to speak of out there right now, but what I do want to bring up is there is a fire in the Cress area. So we're north of Plainview, south of Tulia. The Cress area, if you're traveling down I-27, I don't have the current winds right there at the moment, but if they're coming out of the east in the Lubbock area, it could be blowing a little smoke and could cause some visibility issues over I-27 if you're traveling through the Cress area. Just be aware, be cautious, and of course that big fire up the Hungate fire up in the Canyon area has crossed the interstate. I don't know if that's still active in that area at the moment. And then, of course, we have the new, they're calling it the Stinky Fire. I don't know why. I don't know how they name these, but the Stinky Fire, an area of Whitetail Avenue and Avenue North Dowell Road, Amarillo, up in Potter County. That is, it's just a couple acre fire, but with the winds, those can get out of hand. It's 30% contained at the moment, so they're still fighting that one. Canyon, I don't have a containment update on Canyon, but they do have. There we go. They're 95% contained on the Huntgate fire, and then they're taking a look at the Crest fire, 1,500 acres so far. They've stopped the forward movement and progress, and about 95% containment there. So getting those fires in there. I mean, there's fires just blazing all over the Oklahoma Panhandle, New Mexico. It'd be surprised. I've got an actual app that just tells me where all the wildfires are going all over the country, and it is shocking how many fires are in California all over the place. I mean, it is shocking how many fires are going all the time. I had no idea till I got this app. I went and looked and like, man, I wish I had an app that would tell me, wildfire data like weather, and there is one. So you can I don't know what it's called though. I gotta find it. I don't know what it's called. It pops up. It tells me updates, and then some of my weather products give me the wildfire updates too. So anyway, 806-680-2790. So I'm kind of back to is the endorsement, and this is the question I'm asking you, is the endorsement going to make a difference? I think it will a little bit. But does the Trump endorsement really change the outcome? Let's see. It stopped and started at the cemetery landfill. Which one? 773. Which fire? Stopped and started at the cemetery landfill. Is it a cemetery, or is it a landfill, or is it the landfill at the cemetery? I don't know. Anyway, get back to us on that. Anyway, for those that are excited for Paxton, I mean, it's great. But I'm telling you, and it's not going to matter who wins. If it's Cornyn or Paxton, I don't know if this necessarily seals the deal and seals it for Paxton or not. I don't know. I don't have a good measure at this point. And there's a lot asking, well, President, if you were going to endorse, why didn't you endorse a couple of weeks ago where I could campaign on this and help raise money and why didn't you do that? Why wait so long? And that's the question is, I don't think it's going to change anybody's mind. Well, I was going to vote for Cornyn, but gosh, the president, what I think it might do is it might energize a little bit of turnout. It might make people go, oh, there's an election going on. I forgot all about that. Maybe. I don't know. It could. I saw it on the news. Now I need to run out. So if this is any indication, here's some numbers. I don't see any jump in numbers from this yet. Now, we'll have some more data later on in the show. I should get another update here in 10 or 15 minutes. But yesterday in Lubbock County, we had 2,807 voters. Not bad. I'm pretty impressed. Congratulations. You got out there. The last real primary in Lubbock County I have to compare that to is 2022. On day one, we had 1,613 voters. And so yesterday's primary runoff, day one early voting, is a record turnout for Lubbock County, 2,807 voters. At 4:30, we had 2,483 voters, tracking right along with yesterday. Should put us, we're comfortably over 5,000 votes now. If we look at the 22 primary, 16,000 votes total cast in that primary runoff. So those are encouraging numbers, good, encouraging turnout numbers. But, like a broken record, I'm going to continue to tell you that turnout's the game. And turnout in November is going to be the game. If Paxton wins, he'll do a fine job. He'll play the part. He will be a conservative voter. He will be a champion in the Senate. But I really believe financially, and if he wins, it will come. Is what I keep telling him. The money will come. I don't know. I'm very concerned about it. Will the money come? Will he be able to pull off a win against? And money's not always everything, folks. I mean, we've seen candidates that have faced great big dollars and won. I mean, Senator Cruz faced great big dollars, but Senator Cruz, when Beto O'Rourke challenged him, only faced $80 million. And he got outraised. Cruz got outraised. I think 5-1 was the last number I heard. He got tremendously outraised and outspent, and still pulled out 180,000 to 200,000 vote margin. But it ain't 80 million. It ain't 80 million this time. It's $500 million, potentially. And if for some reason the polling data says we're going to have a hard time against Paxton, I expect they'll send that money somewhere else. They want the Senate. I think there's no doubt in the Democrats' mind with the success of the Republicans in the courts over redistricting, and the Democrats unable to gerrymander. The success is picking up seats here and there, and the chances of the Democrats taking a midterm takeover of the House, I think, are slim. They're certainly not as good as they thought they were going to be. We might be surprised. I don't know. But the Senate, no doubt in my mind, that's the game. They want to take some Senate seats and take control of the Senate. Either way, they take control of either house, they're gonna be a problem for Trump. They are going to stall legislation. Trump better hurry up. Better hurry up and get it done before January. We're going to take a quick check of news and weather. 806-680-2790 is the number to text this show. Send your thoughts in. Love to hear from you. News and weather. We'll be right back here on the Texas Town Square Media Network.
On air and online, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Sound off during the show by sending a text at 806-680-2790.
When you see a car that's been in a bad crash, it's no accident. When it backs traffic up for miles, no accident. And if there's a fatality involved, somebody died. That's no accident either. A lot of the time, it was speeding. And it's no accident that speeding is a factor in more than 150,000 crashes every year in Texas, many of them fatal. So slow down, be safe, drive smart. A message from TxDOT.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Right in the middle of early voting comes President Trump's endorsement for the U.S. Senate seat in Texas. He's chosen Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton over the incumbent Senator John Cornyn for the Republican nomination. Trump wrote that Paxton has always been extremely loyal and a MAGA warrior. Cornyn is a good man, but was, quote, not supportive enough of me when times were tough. Early voting for the May 26 runoff ends Friday. Somebody in the Houston area is diagnosed with a case of West Nile virus, the first human case in Texas this year. It's more than a month earlier than the first case last year. A preliminary report has some revelations on the small plane crash that killed 5 Amarillo pickleball players in Hays County this month. The NTSB says there were problems in flight with the plane's anti-icing system. Texas Ag Commissioner Sid Miller is calling on Governor Abbott to issue a statewide moratorium on the construction of new data centers. With your Texas News headlines, I'm Barbara Schwartz.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon, you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Like our original gold-rimmed Bluebell homemade vanilla, the country's gold standard of ice cream flavors since 1969. Its hand-cranked taste takes you back to simpler times. That's why we put the word home right on the carton.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Showers and thunderstorms possible on this Tuesday evening as temperatures are dropping into the middle 50s. The wind will be gusty. Cooler temperatures Wednesday. Meteorologist Ron over to Lubbock's official weather station News Talk KFYO.
Financial news on KFYO.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Wall Street indexes moved lower as bond yields hit levels not seen since the time of the financial crisis around 2007. Dow Industrials fell 322 points, ending the day at 49,364. NASDAQ was down 220. The S&P 500 lost 49. The $1.8 billion settlement between President Trump and the Internal Revenue Service includes a shield around federal tax returns for Trump, his family members, and the Trump Organization. So the federal government cannot prosecute or pursue any and all claims that could have been made, including tax returns, before this case came about. Mortgage rates continue to rise. The 30-year fixed, according to Mortgage News Daily, is at 6.75% today. That's up 7 basis points, and it's the highest average for the 30-year since July 31st. It also shows an increase of 33 basis points in the last 10 days, which also means sharp increases for mortgage payments. That's Your Money Now.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. More Republicans are growing anxious about the midterms after the latest poll numbers for President Trump. Will redistricting efforts even help? Also, with worker productivity on the rise thanks to AI, hear how immigration and artificial intelligence could help control the national debt. And is the financial advice from your AI chatbot worth embracing? Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News.
Weekday mornings at 5 on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. After 98 years, we're still on the air. This is News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO.
All right, welcome back. 806-680-2790. Like to send us a message. Love to hear from you. It's a windy afternoon. A little too windy. I got up this morning, Nick. Got up early. Was going to go fly. And I did the rookie thing here. Number one, I didn't check the weather. I don't know why. Pretty big on weather. I look at forecasts. I looked at the forecast yesterday. It looked like it might be okay. And the other thing I did not do is my phone was in sleep mode. I've got it set up automatically. It goes to sleep and doesn't let anything through. And I just didn't look at it. I was focused on getting out the door. I had stuff to do today at 9:00, and so I needed to go. I needed to go fly. I needed to get down, need to get changed, I had to put a coat on and go to a meeting, 9:00. So I was focused on just getting there early and getting ready to go. Didn't even think about it. Well, as I'm almost to the airport, I'm looking up and I'm seeing it really hazy, and I'm seeing a few planes out there. And when you can see the lights of a plane cast out in front of them, the reflection, the conical reflection of the light. It's hazy. There's a little bit of something out there, and then I've got this wonderful weather app on my watch that's aviation conditions for the area that I'm happen to be in. I didn't bother to look at that, and so I get all the way out to the airport, and as I'm getting in the parking lot, I can see the windsock out on the runway, and it's almost straight. So straight is not good. And I think, man, it came all the way. My plane's not sitting out there. They have not gotten the plane out. So, it's still in the hangar. And so I was starting to go inside to see what's going on. And I see the windsock, and I pick up my phone here to check. And It's way too windy. And a message from my instructor, hey, it's too windy to fly today. I'm going to cancel it. See you tomorrow. Awesome. Got a good ride out to the airport. Got to check everything out, see what kind of scenery was going on at 5:45 in the morning, and go home and wake the wife back up again, coming back in the house, and got me a little nap in, a little short nap, 45-minute nap, got back up, went to my meeting. Anyway, lessons learned, folks. Check the weather and your text messages before you leave the house. I'll do that. So there's hopes for tomorrow, and I won't be with you tomorrow. I know, it's sad. Ken Corbin's going to be running the show tomorrow. I've got a little something to do, and so that happens. And so Ken Corbin in tomorrow, and then it'll be one or both of us back on Thursday as we rock along on the evening show here. Again, 806-680-2790. If you'd like to send me a message, love to hear from you. Always do. This is a sad story that I'm going to bring you. It's very, very sad. And I apologize right up front if it makes you sad, if it causes any outrage, outburst, fits of anger. Careful. I don't want you to run off the side of the road when I'm about to tell you about to look at this story here, but it's a big one, folks. It's very impactful. Texas Supreme Court has rejected Abbott and the Paxton petition to remove the Democrat quorum-breakers from office. I'm not really happy about this. I can make an argument both ways, and I'm going to here in just a minute, that you feel free to weigh in. Supreme Court ruled against the petitions to remove the Democrat members of the legislature, including Gene Wu, Representative Gene Wu, the Texas House Democratic Caucus Chair, Gene Wu of Houston. I can't stand Gene Wu. Over last year's quorum break. Last August, the House Democrats fled the state in order to block the GOP-led congressional redistricting, and they couldn't hide forever. Despite efforts by the governor and attorney general, the court ruled that the members will not be forced to leave their offices. The news comes several weeks after the Texas House approved $8,000 fines for the members who left the state in protest. Last year, Governor Abbott filed a quo warranto petition. Those of you in Lubbock County might be a little bit familiar with that. We had a similar action in a commissioner case, asking the Supreme Court of Texas to declare Wu's office vacant on the basis that he forfeited it by fleeing the state. Abbott called Wu the ringleader of the derelict Democrats who fled the state to break quorum. Attorney General Ken Paxton was also involved in the petitioning, targeting 13 Democrat members who fled the state in a plea for members to likewise be removed from office. Chief Justice Jimmy Blacklock, who delivered the high court's opinion, was appointed by Abbott in January 25, to serve as the court's 28th Chief Justice. He formerly served as Abbott's general counsel. Blacklock laid out the frame of events in his opinion last Friday, stating that initially the petitions of Abbott and Paxton to remove certain members of the House from office, including Wu, were met with responses by the accused that they were utilizing legitimate legislative tactics. Interesting. By not showing up, they were representing their constituents. That's what they're claiming. He detailed that although members voluntarily returned after 2 weeks and the redistricting legislation was eventually implemented, the petitioners continued to urge that removal from office was a necessary consequence of the absent members' actions. Blacklock, when given reasons as to why the court would not uphold the petitions of Abbott and Paxton, explained executive officers ask judicial officers to remove legislative officers from their seats. At stake are fundamental questions about the allocation of power between and within the branches of Texas government. I'm not sure I disagree with this. Whatever wrong may have been committed by the absent House members, the Texas Constitution's internal political remedies, none of which involved the judicial branch, were sufficient to the task of restoring the House's ability to do business. Wu responded to the decision. When Greg Abbott threatened to arrest us and expel us for denying him a quorum, we told him he should come and take it. He tried. Doing their victory lap. Abbott was wrong, weak, and after all his bluster, he couldn't come and take a thing. Spokesperson for Abbott stated to the Texan News, no elected official has a right to abandon their duties, flee the state, and shut down the people's business. Governor Abbott's legal action is what brought derelict Democrats back to Texas to do their jobs and pass the big, beautiful map. Now SCOTUS has warned them against pulling a similar stunt in the future. If Democrats abandon their offices again, the governor will bring them right back to the Texas Supreme Court. Congressional elections under the new district lines are well underway. Blacklock mentioned in the court's opinion early voting in the primary runoff in Texas on Monday will continue through Friday. Now, the only problem with this is it's one of those things, be careful what you wish for. There very well could be a time that we lose the House. It could happen. It could be in danger this election cycle if we're not careful. We have a slim majority. It could get slimmer. I hope it doesn't turn over. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but it could. And what happens if the Republicans suddenly find themselves in the minority and the Democrats just go wild? They go crazy. There might be a time when the Republicans need to use that tool, a quorum break, same way the Democrats did. It might happen. I don't know. Just hypothesizing here. I certainly don't want any of our members removed from office for that reason. And I do appreciate the Chief Justice's take on this. Is you've got different branches of government affecting other branches of government. This becomes a balance of power issue. I think it's a fair argument to be made. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's fines out there. There was the remedies that the Speaker was able to do to try to restore quorum, remove pay. I really think that they could have shut down their offices entirely. They could have removed staff pay. Now, it's not the staffers' fault. It certainly made them come to the Capitol to pick up their checks. All direct deposits were shut down, I believe. Every remedy available. And I think those are civil warrants that the Speaker issues. But I don't know. Sadly, it would have been interesting to see Democrats get removed, but I sure wouldn't want the tables turned if it ever became necessary for the Republicans to break quorum. Anyway, let's take a break. 806-680-2790. I'd like to send a message. Quick break. Back to wrap up the hour when we come back.
Think it's time for a change. You may get disgusted.
Do you have kids? Then you know the importance of properly installing their car seats and buckling them up correctly to protect them from injuries. Unfortunately, most parents think their children are safely buckled, but that's not always the case. Visit SaveMeWithASeat.org to easily sign up for a free car seat inspection near you. Keep your kids safe with properly installed car seats and by buckling them up correctly so you can save them with a seat. Brought to you by TxDOT.
You wanted to be cool, which led you to smoking, which led to a pack a day. Then you met that special someone, which led to starting a life with them, which led to wanting to live longer, which led to quitting. Then you heard you may be at risk for lung cancer, which led you to getting a low-dose CT scan. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want. and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Conspiracies, mysteries, and more. Don't miss Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie every night at midnight on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO.
All right, welcome back. 806-680-2790. This is an interesting one here. And it's something I wasn't tracking at all. Happens on occasion, happens a lot. There's things out there I'm not tracking. There's a Texas Children's Hospital is going to open a detransition clinic in agreement with Attorney General Ken Paxton and the Department of Justice. The Texas Children's Hospital in Houston will open a detransition clinic. I don't know how this works. Careful with your texts. I can hear them all. I carefully considered whether I was going to bring this article up or not. I don't know how it works. The article doesn't really describe it. Anyway, it's part of a settlement it reached with the U.S. Department of Justice and the Texas Office of the Attorney General over its staff performing medical transition procedures on children even after gender modification was banned in Texas. Oh, yeah, they got caught. The Attorney General's press statement described it as the country's first ever detransition clinic where restorative care will be provided to reverse the damage done to transitioners. I don't know how this works. If something is removed, I don't know how you put it back. But hey, I'm sure they have a plan. For the first 5 years of its operation, all services provided through the detransition clinic will be free of charge to the patients. It's part of their agreement. Hospital also agreed not to perform sex-rejecting or gender-affirming care and to pay over $10 million in damages and civil penalties for past actions, according to the press release. Now, if you remember, Texas passed Senate Bill 14 in 23, which banned gender modification treatments and procedures for Texans under 18 years of age. And thank you very much for getting that done. The Supreme Court upheld the statute in June of 24. Because, I had this conversation with a friend of mine today. Like, oh, man, this action is going to go to court. It's going to go to court anyway. Any major action that's taken, the Democrats are going to file a lawsuit. It's going to get tested in court. And once it's upheld, once it's tested in court, then it's solid. The Supreme Court upheld it in June of 24. The Justice Department will use every weapon at its disposal to end the destructive and discredited practice of so-called gender-affirming care for children. I supported this 100%. Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche said in the press statement, today's resolution protects vulnerable children, holds providers accountable, and ensures those harmed receive the care they need. A monumental day in the fight to stop the radical transgender movement. And I don't know that I would go that far. I don't know this is just a step to stop the radical transgender movement. What it is it's a monumental day to protect children. That, to me, was what the issue was always about. If you're of age and you want to go make the decision to have surgery, you are perfectly willing. You're an adult. You can go do that if you want to. That's up to you. But a child, I never understood this. I can't believe. Who thinks this is okay? How many lawsuits are we going to see in 5, 10, 15 years where a decision was made by parents and the children later go, I really don't like this. I wouldn't have done this. This historic settlement reflects an institutional and fundamental cultural shift away from radical gender ideology, in addition to helping establish the first ever detransition clinic and securing millions. The settlement will ensure that the deranged child mutilators who hurt our kids, I use some words here, who hurt our kids are fired and held accountable. Ken Paxton said in his statement. Whistleblower Vanessa Sivage was fired from the hospital after coming forward in August of 24 about the hospital unlawfully billing the state Medicaid program for the purposes of child gender modification. Uh-oh. Ethan Hayem revealed earlier that year that the hospital was continuing to provide gender-affirming care even after it had promised to stop doing it. After the whistleblower's report, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced that it would begin an investigation of a major pediatric teaching hospital for allegedly terminating employment of a whistleblower nurse for exercising her federally protected right of conscience. Yeah, you got to kind of be careful there. Whistleblower told the Texan in April of 25 she would like to see Dr. Richard Ogden Roberts, Dr. David Paul, who are two transgender doctors who I denounce in my case. I would like to see them lose their medical license and never be able to practice medicine again. She wants to go for blood. I'd like the hospital to fire them and disavow all relationships with them. As part of the settlement, the hospital will fire and permanently revoke all privileges for 5 doctors who performed the gender modification procedures at the hospital. $10 million will go towards resolving allegations. The hospital submitted false billing records to public and private payers and to get sex-rejecting prescriptions covered. Both the Department of Justice and OAG praised the hospital for its cooperation in the investigation. At all times, they remain cooperative, proactive, solution-driven, as highlighted by the multi-million-dollar commitment to provide care. 806-680-2790. Eric weighs in. How long will we have detransition? How long until we have detransition clinics on every block, Somali style? There's money to be made. Maybe so. I don't know, Eric. That'll wrap up the first hour of the show. Quick check of news and weather. We'll be back with hour 2 of the program here on the Texas Town Square Media Network. I'm Steve Evans. 806-680-2790 is the number to text the show. Stick around. We'll be back in a few minutes.
The preceding program was a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the show are not necessarily the views of this station, staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.
From the greatest conspiracies to unexplained mysteries, it's all on Coast to Coast AM, heard every day at midnight on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO.
Nationwide news with a Texas twist. News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM. KFYO, Lubbock.
It's 6 o'clock. Iran might be playing with fire. I'm John Saucier. Fox News as President Trump threatens again to resume strikes on Iran unless they agree to a deal in the next few days. Vice President J.D. Vance reacting at the White House.
But I will not say with confidence that we're going to reach a deal until we're actually signing a negotiated settlement here. And I think that it's ultimately up to the Iranians whether they're willing to meet us.
President Trump says he called off a round of strikes at the request of several countries in the Middle East. Police are still investigating that shooting at the Islamic Center in San Diego yesterday as a hate crime after 2 teenage suspects opened fire, killed 3 people, including a security guard. San Diego Police Chief Scott Wall says that guard exchanged fire with the shooters, saving the lives of over 100 children inside the mosque.
His actions, without a doubt, delayed, distracted, and ultimately deterred these 2 individuals from gaining access.
The security guard identified as Amin Abdullah, father of 8. The mother of one of the suspects reported her son missing as well as 3 guns. Police say hate speech was written on one of the weapons. President Trump's throwing his support behind a Republican challenger in a contested Texas Senate race. Here's Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House.
The president is boosting Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's bid to become the state's next senator. Paxton is challenging sitting Republican Senator John Cornyn in this month's GOP primary. In a social media post, President Trump says Paxton is tested at the highest and most difficult levels. The endorsement is a setback for Cornyn's reelection bid. The president says Cornyn is a good man, but was not supportive of me when times were tough. Whichever Republican advances in the primary will face Democrat state lawmaker James Tallarico in November's general election. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Jared, thank you. America's listening to Fox News.
The Chad Hasty Show.
From the heart of the hub city to the wide open skies of West Texas, KFYO keeps you connected to the stories, the voices, and the conversations that matter most. This is the news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO.
Lubbock's Uplinks weather forecast since temperatures did reach the lower 80s this afternoon. Now temperatures are dropping overnight in the middle 50s. Clouds forming, a slight chance for a thunderstorm at 20%. Then, on Wednesday, temperatures are cooler with a cool front moving into the area. And temperatures in the lower 70s, 40% chance for thunderstorms. Weather brought to you by Sonic and the Sonic Refreshers. I'm meteorologist Ron Roberts on Lubbock's official weather station, News Talk KFYO.
Welcome to Hour 2. Right here on the Texas Town Square Media Network. Steve Evans in this evening, 806-680-2790. If you'd like to weigh in, anything you want to talk about, always open topics. Nothing ever really dies, right? No topic's ever really dead. We beat it to death, but it's never really dead. Sometimes it just gets boring. Like hantavirus. We're not going to talk about hantavirus. I'm so sick of it. It's slowly starting to come out of the news cycles. That's about all I'm going to say about it. It's something we pulled up yesterday. Ken actually found this. If you remember a while back, I don't remember the actual date, but there was a plane crash up in Amarillo. And it's... there's hearings going on about the UPS plane crash, engine separation on the MD-11. Is it more crashes happening, or are we just really hearing about it? It just seems lately it's been a lot of plane crashes. I don't know. It could just be me really paying attention to it. I don't want to be one of those statistics. I'm pretty cognizant of that. Trying to stay out of the statistical pages. Don't want my name in any of that. But there was a plane that crashed up in Amarillo, and so NTSB is finally investigating it. It was a small plane carrying 5 Amarillo pickleball players to a tournament near Austin. And I think I have that original article. That was back on May 1st when this happened. It hadn't been that long ago. Killed all 5. So preliminary report out, this was a Cessna 421, twin-engine plane. Says it had problems with its anti-icing system during the flight. Yes, you can get ice in conditions that you wouldn't think you could get ice. And ice is a problem for a little plane. It can go from bad to worse really, really fast. Pilot reported an airspeed instrument had iced up. He was relying on his backup gauges. So it could be... the pitot tube is plugged up. He wasn't getting true airspeed. He was relying on GPS data or something like that. He asked to descend to 4,000 feet to warm back up. He got above a thermal layer there, and it got cold. In the final 15 minutes before the crash, the plane flew through temperatures just below freezing. His last radio transmission came at 10:59 p.m. Minutes later, the plane broke apart in the air. Wreckage was scattered across a 1.25 mile debris field near Wembley, 40 miles southwest of Austin. The pilot and passengers all died. So the NTSB is investigating that. This was the preliminary report. It was ice. He built up with ice. And yeah, even in May 1st, ice can be a problem. There are layers of temperature, and the more altitude you gain, the temperature starts to drop. It can get very, very cold. If you have just the right scenario where you've got moisture layer and you've got temperature and you've got all those conditions just right, you can ice up. And there are planes out there that have the ability to fly into known ice. They've got de-icing equipment. They have boots on the wings, or there's actually a product that it weeps from the, it's a de-icing liquid that weeps from the wings to keep the ice melted. There's heat in windshields, heat in propellers, and a Cessna 421 it's a pretty nice plane. Now, a very complicated plane to fly. Very hard to fly plane. Things can go wrong in that plane very, very quickly. Don't know if I believe he was just a single pilot. Didn't appear to have had a co-pilot, as it just refers to a pilot. So those reports are starting to come out. It's tragic. And then we see errors with air traffic control, and I do have it on very good authority from a very good friend that the FAA is stepping up its recruitment and training of air traffic controllers. Very, very much needed. And this it doesn't just impact the general aviation community, folks. It impacts you. Everybody who goes and gets on a commercial flight is impacted by aging equipment, impacted by weather, impacted by a lack of air traffic controllers. I'm watching it. I'm pausing. I'm watching a race. The primaries in Kentucky going on. I had a news blip. Sorry, you guys just wait while I take a look at my news blip. And it drives Nick crazy when I do that. Like, what are you doing? Got a show. I can pause. I'm just taking a breath. A little drink here. It just takes a second, Nick. Drives him crazy. But you're impacted when we have a lack of air traffic controllers. And one of the things you'll see, and you'll see it if you're flying out of Lubbock, especially going to Houston, especially flying into Intercontinental, the big airport over there, that oftentimes you'll see the plane taxi out and then they stop. Sometimes shut the engines down and you think, man, we've broken down. No, you haven't broken down. But they are controlling the amount of traffic in that airspace, so that the workload of the controllers is limited or reduced. Not limited, but reduced. So each controller is only controlling so many planes. There's a ton of planes flying into that airspace. Very, very busy. A lot going on, a lot to keep track of. I've been on that side of the equation in the military, keeping track of planes and radar, and it can get very busy and very overwhelming. And we're seeing a time when we have new, not quite as experienced controllers in the field, a lack of them, and so the FAA is ramping all that up. They're trying to train more, trying to get those positions filled and staffed, and they're doing it in incentives by. It used to be as one of the things that was not so attractive about a lot of government jobs like Border Patrol or national organizations. Air traffic controllers were not excluded from this either. You would decide to pursue a career, and FBI is the same way. Most of your national, federal law enforcement agencies are this way. You go through the training, and you've got to get an assignment, and it's not like you're going to just go home in FBI. You're going to go home and be in your the Lubbock FBI office. It's not that big. Border Patrol, you don't know where you're going to get stationed at. And air traffic control is the same way. You didn't know where the FAA was going to put you. They are trying to revise some of those policies by giving incentives to the top in their class, get the pick of the location they want to get stationed. They ask you to have a wish list, and they do their best to fill it. But there's still spots out there where, we need a controller in Adak, Alaska, possibly. You might get sent over there. But they're working on pay incentives, and it is a very, very good career. If you are a young something out there, it's a demanding career, 20s, 30s, and you're looking for something to do. You're looking for a career. Air traffic control it's a high-stress environment. I think one time, wasn't there some statistics out there? It was lawyers and air traffic controllers had the highest divorce rate and the highest rate of alcoholism. I think I read that several years back. But I have a friend is a retired air traffic controller, could probably tell us. It used to be it's a high stress, and then there was a lot that went through the strike back in the Reagan era, where he just invited them all to leave, invited them all to quit. Thank you very much. Just took care of that strike. It's a safety issue, but it's a great field to get into. A lot of the training's up in Oklahoma City. They've got simulators up there they put you through. It's a good career. something you should consider. And I don't have the starting pay, but I know it's pretty good. But of course, the downside is you may wind up in a city somewhere. It's in the Lubbock area. You're not going to get stationed at the Lubbock airport. More than likely, you're not. You're going to have to go somewhere else. But if you really excel at it, then you get to pick. Maybe you get to go to Lubbock. Maybe you get to pick anywhere you want to go. Who knows? But something has to be done, and I think most pilots out there, especially your commercial pilots, your corporate pilots, your commercial airliner pilots, understand that we're working off of antiquated equipment. Some of this equipment goes back to the 60s and 70s. It needs to be updated. There's better ways to do things. There's technology and communications and electronic flight planners now that every pilot carries around. There's information out there. There's systems that are better. There's ways to communicate with planes to make them safer. And with such a massive industry, gosh, you would sure think that was on the top of the federal government's list. Is that not one of their core responsibilities, infrastructure? So I hope we continue to see improvements in the federal aviation system. It's my hope. I hope we stop seeing news reports of engines falling off and collisions and, oh my goodness, planes running into fire trucks on the runway. That's, mistakes. I hope we get to a point where we don't see that anymore. It'd be nice. Technology could certainly help with that. Anyway, I always like to keep an eye on the NTSB reports. Of course, the one for UPS, the plane, the MD-11, hearings are been ongoing today, and it's the news. They're just playing the same explosion over and over again, same horrific plane explosion. And people thinking, man, how many of my Amazon packages were on that plane that went up in smoke? 806-680-2790. Quick text as we go to break. Should be obvious to all the Texas voters now that Paxton is the best choice for Senate. John campaign event to fly to Washington, D.C. to vote against Trump's War Powers Act. Hopefully he will follow suit like Marjorie Taylor Greene and just resign his seat today. He's not going to do that. That's not going to happen. But just think about the big picture. That's all I'm asking. We'll take a quick break. Back in a moment.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Heads up, Texas.
So you don't hit my car when I'm sitting at a stoplight.
Heads up, Texas.
So I can ride my bike safely.
Heads up, Texas.
So I can make it across the street without getting run over.
Heads up, Texas.
So I don't have to write you a ticket.
Heads up, Texas. Because driving and using your phone is a bad combination. Talk, text, crash. Brought to you by TxDOT.
This is Gordon Deal. Join me for America's First News, weekday mornings at 5 on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO.
All right, welcome back. 806-680-2790. Like to send a message. Love to hear from you. Steve Evans hanging out with you. Let's see. I've not been looking at the Iranian conflict here lately. There's more out, and you kind of forget about it until you go get gas. And so I had to fill up my pickup today. It was $106 to fill up my pickup, and that was after my not so great incentives at the particular convenience store that I use that's not paying me to advertise, so I'm not going to tell you who it is. But there's everybody's got their supermarket stuff out there, gives you discounts on fuel for groceries, and we do pretty well with that. But that we'll reserve those accounts for the house. That's for the family car that gets to get the benefit of that. And this is I filled up my company truck today and just pulled in, and I think I got a 10 cent a gallon discount, which ain't much. But even after that, it was over $100. And so you start thinking, man, what's going on with the Iranian conflict? I didn't even think about it. We've not been talking about it. We've been covering it. But so there was a little bit of a development yesterday, and I'm not real happy about it. But Trump has halted his strike. They're still trying to negotiate. I don't know when we get done with that. But President Trump publicly stated that a new U.S. military attack on Iran was scheduled for tomorrow. And this was, this was yesterday's article. This particular outlet didn't even put dates on it. Anyway, before he decided to put it on hold following direct appeals from key Gulf leaders in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, they're weighing in. Wait a minute. According to reporting from the announcement, these leaders urged him to give diplomacy more time, arguing that an agreement acceptable to both Washington and the wider Middle East might still be within reach. Trump presented the move as responsive, not reluctant. Trump's description emphasized that this was a postponement. He's not backing down. It's not a renunciation of force. He said Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, the senior United States military commanders, had been ordered to remain ready for a full, large-scale assault if negotiations with Tehran fail. That language reinforces that the White House sees military power as leverage in an ongoing bargaining process, not simply a last resort shelved in favor of genuine de-escalation. Strike plan appears parked in the driveway, engine running. The pause came against a backdrop of sharp escalation in and around the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow sea lane that carries a significant share of the world's oil shipments. But again, we can make that argument, not ours. We have enough here. The UAE authorities said Iran launched its first missile and drone attack on the country since a recent ceasefire took effect, including drones fired at a ship near the critical passage. It's a stupid thing to do. United States officials reported that commercial vessels were again moving through the strait under a new escort effort ordered by the president. As part of that effort, described as Project Freedom, the United States military has been guiding stranded ships out of the Persian Gulf, with American warships providing protection against Iranian interference. U.S. Central Command officials said Iranian forces launched multiple cruise missiles, drones, and small boats at vessels under this umbrella. Again, stupid. And claimed that American defense fire destroyed several small Iranian boats and neutralized every threat. Trump has warned in interviews that if Iran targets United States ships during these operations, its forces will be blown off the face of the earth. Why? Why are they poking the bear? None of this is going to end well, I'm afraid. I just don't believe there's going to be negotiations. We could starve them out. And that works so well in other conflicts. That works so well in Afghanistan and Iraq. We can starve them out. Pretty resilient. Their leaders will just flee to another country and wait it out. The country will destabilize. Or we can just get it done, full-scale invasion. But if that's what they're worried about, why poke the bear? Why continue to fire in the straits? It really doesn't make a lot of sense. And you're negotiating with terrorists. There are more terrorists in that area than not. And that's who you're negotiating with. You're negotiating with radicals that hate us. So let diplomacy prevail. Let negotiations attempt to prevail. And it's always better than loss of life. I'll never argue against that, but it was $106 to fill up my truck today. How long can we hold out? How long are the American people willing to allow this to affect our economy? Because it does. How long are we willing to pay $4 plus gas? How long can we hold out? We already had the tariff plan. I can tie all this together. If you think it's not related, it is. We already had the tariffs that made a great impact on everything you bought. And any of you that are in business, especially those that use products from other countries, there are some countries that do things better than the United States there are. In my business, Germany makes some of the best hydraulic components. They're not made here. We have to import things. That affected businesses greatly. Everyone that uses products that came from overseas, it impacted you and it impacted the customer. Somebody has to pay for that. It's generally not the company. They have to raise their prices. Some held out as long as they could. So we're already facing that and all the issues, and we can get into a large tariff discussion if you want. Yeah, some are being refunded, and it's a big mess, big debacle. I think I told you about my whole backpack the whole backpack adventure, paying double, more in tariffs than the actual backpack cost. Went through all of that. But how long can we hold out on $4 gas and diesel? I hadn't even looked in a while to see what diesel is. I don't even want to. That's scary. The cost of transporting your Amazon package is going up. The cost of fuel, the cost of travel, all of it, almost at an all-time high. Can we handle $5 gas in West Texas? I don't know. You're sure going to see fuel-efficient cars the sales are probably going up. I don't know how long we can hold out. A resolution has to happen. And that's what I'm waiting for and hopeful. And if that's just a strike and get it done, maybe that's what it's going to take. Anyway, more on this when we come back. 806-680-2790. Your thoughts? We're going to get some of those texts that just say, kill them all, let God sort them out. Nuke them, turn them into a glass factory. Let's do it. Tired of $4 gas. People start to get angry. It's impacting groceries. It's impacting everything. It's expensive. News and weather, and we'll be right back.
Call into the show at 1-800-687-0790. Proudly broadcasting on the Texas Town Square Media Network.
As a parent, you said you'd never give up the convertible.
Look, the van even has its own backing.
You said you'd never schedule your life around a stuffed animal.
Nobody panic. Bun is still at daycare.
And never put them in harm's way.
I'll be right back, little man. Just gonna pop in the store for diapers.
But never happens. Temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you every time you park the car. Stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
President Trump today endorsed Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton for Senate over Senator John Cornyn, the GOP nomination. That is expected to push Paxton over the top for the May 26 primary runoff. The primary runoff runs through Friday. The election is Tuesday. Trump called Paxton a MAGA warrior and a strong supporter of terminating the filibuster and the Save America Act. The president's endorsement of Paxton is not sitting well with some Senate Republicans. The Hill reports that Senate Majority Leader John Thune would only say of the endorsement that it is his decision, referring to President Trump. Senator Lisa Murkowski said it makes the race tougher for Republicans. Somebody in the Houston area has been diagnosed with the case of the West Nile virus. State health officials say the person lives in Harris County and has the more serious form of the disease. This is the first human case in the state of Texas this year. It's more than a month earlier than the first case last year. With your Texas News headlines, I'm Barbara Schwartz.
In phony TV ads, Mays Middleton says he's mega, but he's got no experience in a courtroom.
Just a family trust fund and a new red hat. Mays isn't MAGA. He's the guy who sponsored a bill allowing mosques to build their own housing developments. Middleton admitted his bill, quotes, empowers mosques to use their land for housing development, paving the way for Sharia cities in Texas. To Islamic radicals, Mays is Mecca, not MAGA. The real Trump conservative?
Chip Roy running for office. You're doing a good job, Chip.
Senator Cruz agrees.
No one, and I mean no one, has fought harder to help President Trump make America great again. Texans deserve a fearless, proven conservative for Attorney General. That's why I'm supporting Chip Roy.
Take it from Ted. Chip Roy is the conservative choice for Attorney General. Proven MAGA warrior, experienced, and qualified to serve. Political advertising paid for by Texans for Chip Roy.
The top links weather forecasters. Temperatures did reach the lower 80s this afternoon. Now temperatures are dropping overnight in the middle 50s. Clouds forming, a slight chance for a thunderstorm at 20%. Then on Wednesday, temperatures are cooler with a cool front moving into the area. And temperatures in the lower 70s, 40% chance for thunderstorms. Weather brought to you by Sonic and the Sonic Refreshers. I'm meteorologist Ron Roberts on Lubbock's official weather station, News Talk KFYO.
Local events, newsmakers, and information. It's Sunrise LBK on KFYO.
Coming up on Sunrise LBK Wednesday.
Hey, it'll be the third day of early voting. We'll review the numbers from Monday and Tuesday. The campaigns are getting a little testy.
Also, Larry Williams' Brake Tune and Tire for Ask Larry Williams after 8 o'clock. And more details coming this week on the 20th anniversary celebration giveaway with Window World and Sunrise LBK. 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO.
Securing America.
A ceremony at Fort Campbell, Kentucky Monday awarded Purple Hearts to several soldiers injured during a 2003 attack in Kuwait, including retired Colonel Andres Martone, who described what happened.
An Army sergeant attacked the headquarters element of his brigade, and he threw 4 hand grenades into 3 tents.
2 were killed in the attack. The victims weren't originally eligible for Purple Hearts because the attack was committed by a U.S. troop member. But that has changed. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Ken Romaine, one of the honorees, talked about why that matters.
The recognition of the perpetrator being an enemy of the United States.
Colonel Martone was emotional about the recognition.
It means so much.
Both said they were honored to be back at Fort Campbell to receive their Purple Hearts. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO.
You know, that's a complete Gen X trigger, that song right there. It's a Breakfast Club. That's what it does for me. It's from the Breakfast Club. All right, welcome back. 806-680-2790. Let me backtrack here. Several texts and scrolling through during the break. 759 said diesel is around $5. Tariff refunds are stupid. This country ran on tariffs before the world wars. It sure did. That was the creation of the Navy, was to enforce tariff policies. It's one of the reasons the Navy is around. We did run on tariffs. We didn't run on income taxes for sure. 778, a radical Iran is looking to cause enough distress to bring on the, quote, 12 Aman in their book. They believe there has to be a complete world in disarray. They want death and destruction because that is when their Jesus will show up, when there's enough death and destruction. So they're crazy. Is that what you're saying? Crazy. Hollywood. Let's see. Couple there from Hollywood. How long were we willing to wait for a nuclear attack for Iran? You can't apply our logic to... No, you can't apply our logic. It doesn't make any sense. There is no logic, which is, why are we negotiating? 778. To a true Muslim, there's only 4 positions in life. You become one of them. You are slaves to them. You pay ransom to stay free, or they kill you. There is no go along, get along with the true Muslim. It is in their book. Which goes back to my question. Why are we negotiating? Now, I'm not the president. I'm not in charge of diplomacy. I'm just your average American paying $106 to fill up my tank. Somebody has to explain it to me a little bit better. And again, I've said this several times, that there's no direct line of communication. They're using Pakistan, they're using others in back-channeling negotiations. I don't know why we can't just get everybody in a room and say this is what's going to happen. And why hasn't there been an ultimatum? You either do this by X date or there's going to be an invasion. And I think we were almost there. I think the president was just about there, and then you do get other countries over there, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, that says, "Hey, wait a minute, don't blow up the Persian Gulf at the moment. Don't do that. We need to try to find another solution to this, Mr. President." That's what seems like has happened. But where have they been up until this point? Are they putting any pressure? Are they helping with the back channel? Are they reaching out to Iran and saying, "Hey, you're about to destabilize the whole region"? And then, of course, my concern that I continue to repeat too is, what happens when there is a vacuum in that country? There's a power vacuum. Point to me one recently, anywhere in the Middle East where we've come in and intervened, that a power vacuum didn't happen, and it wasn't worse when we left. Afghanistan, significantly worse. Iraq, ISIL moved in. The Arab Spring created power vacuums all over the place, and radical Islamic jihadists came in and filled that. Is that not what it is? Is Hezbollah going to be gone now? All of a sudden, we go in and we destabilize Iran. We blow it. How long are we going to occupy it? How long are the American people going to take a full-scale, long-term invasion? I don't think they're going to support that. What happens in 2 years if we leave the White House? Are we just going to pack up and leave again? Leave it in a big vacuum? Destabilize it like happened in Afghanistan? Is that a scenario? One that we're willing to accept? I don't know. I don't have the answers. You can't go in there and just make it a glass factory. I mean, there are innocents there. There are some. It's not in our nature. Do we want to wage a nuclear strike against them, which I'm not sure would help with the problem? They're pretty deep underground. It's been said many times that our conventional bombs and weapons won't penetrate the facilities where their underground nuclear facilities are. Won't penetrate them. We'll have to go in and dismantle them. So I do agree it's much better if there's a deal and negotiations and inspectors are brought in and we dismantle their nuclear program. That's better for everybody. It's better for them. It's better if Iran just topple their government. That's what they need to do. Let's go back to the Iran of the 60s and early 70s. Okay, primaries going on all over the place. I want to do a little bit of coverage there before we run out of show. But big primary going on in Kentucky. President Donald Trump backing a primary challenger against sitting Representative Thomas Massie, who's broken with him on issues such as releasing the Epstein files. And he's supporting handpicked candidate Ed Galrain. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I'm not watching the news. I'm reading it. In the state's Republican Senate primary, Representative Andy Barr won the nomination to succeed retiring Senate Mitch McConnell. Thank goodness we got rid of Mitch McConnell. So sick of him. He needs to go. Republicans are choosing a challenger to take on Democrat Senator John Ossoff. Trump has not endorsed a candidate there. Why not, Mr. President? Why haven't you endorsed? Which could lead to a runoff on June 16th. I bet he gets in it at the runoff. There's also a bruising Republican primary for governor. In Alabama, Republican voters will choose a U.S. Senate candidate to replace Tommy Tuberville, who's running for governor. Are they not tired of him yet? Old Tommy Tuberville. State's primaries were scrambled after U.S. Supreme Court decision allowed Republicans to redraw the congressional map. Contests in some districts were postponed to August 11th, but the changes remain subject to litigation. Over in Pennsylvania, primary going on. Democrat voters will pick their nominees to flip 4 Republican-held seats as seen as critical for the party to retake the U.S. House. So races will be a test of Governor Shapiro's influence. In Oregon, the Oregon Democratic Governor Tina Kotek will face nearly 24 challengers. Voters will also decide whether to raise gas taxes to pay for improvements to the state's road and bridges. I cannot believe I'm actually watching. Their gas is expensive too. I can't believe they're going to vote to raise gas taxes. There's no way. There's no way. Anyway, tracking the results on quite a few of those. I'm interested to see this Kentucky race. If Trump is actually able to, there's influence everywhere. We'll see if he's actually able to pick up some. There's keeping the House, and then there's Donald Trump picking up seats, picking up his picks on members that are favorable. I'm tracking the key races that are happening. I got a few results I might bring to you after the break. I'm going to go ahead and fire off that break, and we're going to back to wrap up. We'll wrap up the evening, wrap up the show. Final segment when we come back. 806-680-2790. Get your last minute text in. Back in a moment.
You wanted to be cool, which led you to smoking, which led to a pack a day. Then you met that special someone, which led to starting a life with them, which led to wanting to live longer, which led to quitting. Then you heard you may be at risk for lung cancer, which led you to getting a low-dose CT scan. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Hi, Angie. This is your phone here in the cup holder. Pick me up.
No, I'm driving.
Oh, look, a text from Mr. Dreamy.
Hush, driving here.
I'm getting an email. Gwen is giving away free bunnies.
No, you are so pushy.
I know. I need therapy. Let's search it now.
Phone, quiet.
Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Talk, text, crash. A message from TxDOT.
America's #1 talk show host, Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons at 2 on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO.
All right, we're back. Final segment. That really gets the blood moving. Man, we're just going to juice everybody up right before we shut her down. 806-680-2790. Last minute text. Hollywood says, have a great night, Steve and Nick. And he pronounced your name almost like Nikki Sixx, just N-I-K, and then the exclamation points. I wasn't sure who he was talking to. Thought he was having an old acid flashback and, thinking about Motley Crue or something. I don't know. Looking at some of the results in Kentucky, Ed Gowring and Thomas Massey. Ed Gowring up, looks like 60% of the vote in, 54% to 46% over Massey. So Trump-backed candidate there, Trump-endorsed candidate, made an impact. Let's see. Looking for anything of consequence here. Alabama, and he just keeps bringing up the Democrats. I don't care about their races right at the moment. That's the big one. That's really the big one that have been taken a look at. Good voter turnout numbers showing we're going to have a great day for voter turnout in Lubbock County. Jumped up to 2706 by 5:15. We'll have some final numbers tomorrow. Sure, Ken Corbin's also watching that voter turnout. But right now, historic voter turnout in the primary runoff, which is good. Good to see folks turning out. Again, if you get a hold of those turnout numbers, we're working on revising some of those email lists that we used to have where we get turnout numbers emailed to us in some of the other cities in the listening area. If you're getting those and you've got that data, feel free to text it in, 806-680-2790. Again, turnout is going to be important. Let's see. What do we want to finish up with, Nick? What is on your mind, Nick? Yeah, I just caught him off guard. He's like, oh, wait a minute, you're talking to me? Well, yeah. We haven't heard from you today, Nick. You've been quiet.
Yeah, no, it's been a good day. Actually, before I head into work this morning, we had a little 8-legged visitor. 8? 6. A 6-legged visitor in our bathroom. And
6 legs.
It was a roach. And we often get, especially after weather. The weather drives them in, and so we gotta, fend them off. So the dutiful husband that I am, I always am. I get, it's just after breakfast, and my wife, she tells me, hey, I hate to cut this short, but we have a friend in the bathroom. And you know what? Immediately,
shine.
Exactly. Immediately. So she wanted. She had this grand idea. She wanted me to use the vacuum to suck it up, and then we have. Are you familiar? Diatomaceous earth. You familiar with it? Okay. Yeah. Quote natural.
Oh yeah.
Pesticide.
I'm married to a hippie man. I'm familiar with all that stuff.
So she wanted me to suck up this roach with the vacuum and then suck up some of the powder.
Diatomaceous.
Exactly.
So you don't have a mad cockroach in the vacuum.
Sure.
It's a real thing. I get it.
I'm sure it would have worked. But I said, you know what? It'll be a lot easier and faster if I just go in with a shoe and just get it over with. I mean, it was a big roach. So I did. I did it the old-fashioned way. I just I went in. I had my tools in a big, massive swatter that I use. I had to get a step stool. It was pretty high up, but I got it. Kudos to me.
Oh, it was up on the wall.
Oh, it was up there.
And then you miss, and they get mad and jump on you. This is how ER visits happen.
I was terrified of that happening. You know what? So it's just a small little step ladder, just 2 steps. So I walk up, and I'm about eye level with it. And, it's looking at me. I see its little antenna are kind of bobbing around. And, boy, I thought, I was so confident leading up to this very moment. And here I am, weapon in hand, locking eyes with my target. And I thought, if I miss, I'm either going to bounce it back and it's going to jump on me, or it's going to run away or fly away. It had wings. But you know what? First try. First attempt, I swatted it, and there it is. So
I feel like you need a T-shirt for that.
The roach,
I hit the roach on the
champion.
first try.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I felt like a winner. I got to admit, afterwards. So
you can go shopping for some pointy toe boots too, in case you need to get one in the corner.
I have a special pair of boots specifically for stepping on bugs.
Yeah, roach killing.
Exactly.
And it's all fun and games until you get like a big critter comes in the house.
Like a mouse you're talking about?
So my office is not far from the Southwest Studios, and often I like to open all the doors in the warehouse. I like to open everything up, and I get visitors on a cat. I've had dogs walk in, like, who are you? The most interesting one was I had a white-tailed deer come in and stuck its head in the warehouse like, hello,
you can't step on those. Those are tough.
You can't step on them, and generally they will run away. But if they don't, and you take a paw to the head or something, you get a buck. This was a doe. You get a buck, they'll fight you sometimes. They're kind of they get mad. They'll
I will
fight you.
not approach a buck. I don't care how big it is or how small.
That's very very good policy.
Not doing that.
But the other problem is I've got razor wire. And so I didn't want doe trying to jump the fence, and so I'm just trying to. And it came in the gate, so I'm trying to just very gently coax deer. Here, please go, Mrs. Deer.
You could have kept it.
Give it a name. No, I don't
Fluffy?
do that.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it wasn't in season, or it would have been in my freezer. I'm very much pro. I'll eat the deer. So I'm contributing to the deer population. I'll eat the deer. No problem there. Just like Ron White said, what are you doing to combat cow flatulence and the effect on the ozone? It's I'm eating the cow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. I'm eating the deer. Was able to coax the deer out the gate and go run wild, be free, and out the field it went. But I've had squirrels and birds, often birds, and they can't see the forest for the trees, so they'll kind of fly to their death on occasion anyway. Ken Corbin in tomorrow. We'll be back together Thursday, Friday. Memorial Day coming up, too. We'll have a little Memorial Day recognition going on later in the week, I'm sure. But enjoyed being with you today. Always do. I'm Steve Evans. This is the Texas Town Square Media Network. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. See you Thursday.
The preceding program was a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the show are not necessarily the views of this station, staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.